guys, welcome back to my channel. This is a special edition. It's a part 1 of 2. I'll be doing my lovely bestie from nursing school, Kailee.
Hi.
And we'll be talking about nursing school in part 1, and in part 2 we'll be talking about our 6 months experience as a nurse. So without further ado, why did we pick nursing?
An internship at a local hospital, and I followed the x-ray techs because I thought that's what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure, so I followed them and it was not my cup of tea. So then I switched and I followed a labor and delivery nurse. I got to experience a live birth, and it right then and there, that's when I decided that I wanted to do nursing, because I love helping people, and it's just, you know, it's nice to be there when they're at their most vulnerable, to just seeing their daily progress.
Well, I picked nursing because I grew up in Africa and I got sick a lot, well, in my childhood years. And I had malaria, and every time I went to the hospital, I always encountered both doctors and nurses, and I just felt the connection with the nurses more. And I just like the whole caring nature of nursing. My grandma, when she was passing away, she stayed with us for a while. Bless your heart, rest in peace, Ebo.
So the second question is, how long did nursing school take? As you know, there's 2 parts to nursing school. The first half where you just take your normal classes like your math, English, your prereqs. And then the second half is actual nursing school, where you start taking the nursing classes and start going to the hospitals to do clinicals and that kind of thing. So for me, altogether, it took me 5.5 years.
For me, it took 6 because I went to a couple of community colleges back in Michigan before I moved to Indiana, and just as things always turn out, not all my prereqs transferred, and so I had to retake a couple of classes.
For me, the reason why it took a little bit longer was because starting off in college, I had no idea what to expect. I had never been to college. So I only took 12 credits because I didn't want to overwhelm myself and get into something that I couldn't get out of. And then my advisor, she pulled me into her office one day and she told me, she's like, hey, you need to take 15, otherwise you're gonna fall behind. But by that point I had already fallen behind, so I had to add on a whole extra year.
I know it's really hard to decide what you want to be, but it would be good to have an idea on what you want to be, because that is going to help you choose what classes you want to take. What did the first semester in nursing school look like?
So our first semester was very nerve-wracking, and we're talking about the first semester of nursing school, not the school in general. So the first semester was very nerve-wracking. We had no idea what to expect, kind of just got thrown into all of it. We had a bunch of validations that we had to do, so we were learning certain parts of the body system at a time, and then we would have to do the validations in front of a teacher. So we had to have a partner that we could do our assessments on, and the teacher would watch us the whole time, and then she would determine whether you passed or failed. So that was nerve-wracking, especially at the beginning, because you have to talk your whole way through it as well and tell the teacher what you're doing. But then also we had to learn all the math calculations, which was difficult for me. That's one thing that I always kind of struggled with. Pull up med and syringes, and we had to listen to different heart sounds and lung sounds, and it was really difficult because we didn't really know at the time
the right spots to put your tests or stuff.
Right, and so it was a lot the first semester for sure. It's heavy, but it sets you up for all your other semesters.
So the nursing school we both went to is a 2.5-year program for just the nursing section without your prereqs. Like she said, the first semester was nerve-wracking. First of all, you have to do it in front of all these people you don't know. That's where your anatomy and physiology really comes in place, because you have to know the different parts of the body system and try to validate everything. So yeah, I love the math calculations because I love math. How did you deal with your test anxiety?
You know, I've never really been the type of person to stress too much about tests. Yeah, I get a little bit of stress just like anybody, but it's nothing major. I don't really get anxiety once I get to the test and sit down, just study. I mean, you can't go in there and think that you're gonna know your stuff and pass. And obviously, if you feel confident in it, you're not gonna feel quite as anxious getting to the test.
So I'm a really bad person to take advice from when it comes to tests. She could definitely say that, because I will literally call her the night before and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm watching Korean show.
Yeah, we would like call each other the night before and be like, hey, did you study yet? And she'd be like, no, I'm sitting here watching TV. I'm like, oh, Kelly.
But honestly, we had some classes that I had to definitely study, or when I'm seeing like what getting close to the end of the semester and my grade is like, then yeah, I put in the work.
Then you gotta kick it into high gear.
Yeah, I do put in the work for like 1 day straight, no break. I don't really deal with anxiety that much. I feel like I just turn to anything that you're comfortable with. I turn to TV shows to help me relax. My sister deals with it with workout, so everybody just has their own way to deal with it.
What are some of the best resources for nursing questions? I personally didn't do any questions up until the last semester when I was mandated to, but a really good source, my best one, was UWorld, and I feel like it mimicked NCLEX the best.
So I think I did a video on this a little bit, but you could also get like Hearst at the end. But if you're that person that's very anxious and you want to do questions before time, the Saunders books are really good to study as you're going to different classes. Like when you enter your maternity course, you could go through the maternity section. So
I personally didn't really like the books too much, but the books are good for the beginning. Except the only thing that, one of the things I really didn't like about the books is that they're so heavy, they're big and bulky,
yeah.
You have to carry them around.
Is it worth it to buy all the books they tell you to buy?
No. They will give you a whole long list of books that you need, but in reality, unless you're the type of person that's literally going to sit there and read every chapter that they assign you, then you don't need the book. And if you do get the books, I highly recommend to rent them. What Kelly and I would do is we would go to class for like the first couple weeks and just kind of feel it out and see if we were going to need the book. And if we absolutely needed the book, then we would go and rent it. We wouldn't just buy all of our books before the semester started. I did that my first semester and I learned really quick because I think I spent like $800 or something.
And then also, like, if you want to rent books, maybe your school has cheap renting options, but I would say Amazon is a really good place to like rent your books. Some people use check.com. It's up to you which one you find to be cheaper for you. How do you balance schoolwork and your social life? I don't have much of a social life. I came to South Bend with no family or friends. My family is literally in Illinois, so I did not have any social life until when my fiance came here. It was all about work and school.
For me, it was difficult. More towards the beginning of nursing school, it was a little bit easier just because the workload wasn't as heavy. But once you get towards the end, you really have to buckle down and pay attention to your school and not get sidetracked. For me, what I would try to do is I always had a planner. I would plan out basically my whole week and sit down and write, okay, I'm gonna do this assignment on this day. And I would do that for the whole week so that come Friday, I can go out for the weekend without feeling bad about still having homework or whatever. And a lot of the times it was doable, but at times it's not, which is okay.
So if you guys are wondering what our planners look like, hers was pretty much like mine. So it was like color coded with different assignments and different things to do, like journals, assignments, exams, and so forth. How to balance work and school, since work is like part of social life, right?
Yeah, I mean, we need money because nursing school isn't free and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Every time we turned around, especially in the last semester, there was some sort of fee that we had to pay. It was a pain in the butt. During my first year of nursing school, I highly don't recommend, but I was working at a factory and I was working 7 days a week, still going to school full time. So I would go to school at like 8 in the morning, come home around 2 or 3, something like that. And then I would turn around and go to the factory at 4 and work until midnight, and I would do that every day. I was finding myself studying only during my breaks at work. I honestly don't know how I got by. I did, and I still had good grades and everything, but it was just so stressful on my body that I honestly wouldn't have been able to do it much longer. The second year of nursing school, like I said, it got harder, so I quit that job and I started only working 2 days a week, and I did a home health care job. So I was taking care of 2 different patients in their home, and that was like the perfect job for me.
I've always worked in like the healthcare, so obviously I had downtime that I used sometimes to do my assignments, because it was mostly my assignments that were my problems. And then I was working full-time and I was going to school full-time. It was stressful. I had to pay my bills. Shout out to my fiance now, because when he came, he took off a lot of load for me, because the last semesters were really horrible and I couldn't do the full-time I used to do anymore.
When should you apply for a nursing job? The last semester of nursing school, our teachers were very on our butts about applying. They made us make a resume all the time. It was apply, as many jobs as you can. I did not apply for a job until after I graduated. There's a million nursing jobs everywhere. So I feel like whether you apply at the beginning of the semester when they tell you to versus at the end, you're gonna get a job no matter what. So don't stress yourself out about them telling you to apply. Like I said, I waited and I got a job fairly quickly. And I only applied to one place and they called me back.
Where I went for my capstone, they liked me, and so they did give me an offer. So I just saw in my email and they sent me an offer. They sent it around October, but I didn't get back to them around November, because it's like nerve-wracking when you're trying to like still plan out your life, and then they are literally saying, oh, do you want to work? Tell us. But at that time I'm not even taking my finals, not to talk about my NCLEX. So I just ignored the message, and then I got back to them later on at the end of the year around December after graduation, and I was like, okay, let's talk about this, but I'm not taking my NCLEX anytime soon, with the positions to be there for me. And obviously there's always nursing jobs, so yeah, it was there for me, and when I was ready I started.
If you don't know what capstone is, it's basically where you pick a location at a hospital, and you basically kind of work there for the rest of for the whole semester. You have to do so many shifts. You follow a nurse, and you're there for the same exact hours as they are. You follow them, and it's the best way to kind of get us exposed to like real nursing.
It's nursing without being paid.
Yeah, basically.
It's being a nurse without being paid. Any study tips?
I don't think they should get tips from you. I don't know. People ask me all the time for study tips, but I never really did anything special. Like, I would just go through my PowerPoints over and over and over until I literally like memorized them slide by slide. And I would start studying, I would say maybe like 4 to 5 days before an exam. Some people need more time, some people need less.
I just went through PowerPoints, and sometimes I did do practice questions, but yeah, nothing special.
So the next question is basically about GPA. So when I was doing my prereqs, I had a 4.0 and I was doing really well in school. And then I got to nursing school and it just kind of went downhill. I still graduated with a good GPA, like still in the 3s. Don't be hard on yourself, because I've always had a 4.0 throughout my life. And then I seen that my GPA was going down and I was kind of hard on myself and I stressed myself out. I think I even cried over it several times. But don't do that, because nursing school is hard. And if you keep a 4.0 throughout nursing school, then good for you, because it is really hard.
I guess we answered pretty much everything that we had. If you have any more questions that you would like us to answer, you could leave in the comment below. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for part 2. See ya.